Hey, how you doing? There was a review recently about the 3DForge exterior assets, and a topic of VR came up in that review. So I wanted to actually go ahead and do a little bit of a video review here to kind of show what these assets look like in virtual reality. This is a Vive headset, and this is these are blueprints, 3DForge on the website. You can go to the website and you can download blueprints where he has pre-made, like there's an inn over in that location over there where I'm pointing, and that's just a little cottage house. So I basically just downloaded the blueprints, created a plane, and just dropped them onto my standard little test area, which you see I got a table set up here I test with. First thing you'll notice, I've got a first-person shooter, or FPS, frames per second counter up here. And the reason I have that is whenever I'm doing development, I make sure that this stays green, or if it goes yellow just briefly. And the reason for that is because if it stays yellow or you go into the reds, you get juddering where you kind of start losing frames, and that makes you sick. And in fact, when I do dev work during the day and I start getting juddering, at the end of the day I feel nauseous. I have to go and lay down. It kind of sucks. So for high detail assets, you have to do a lot of level of detail work where you have really high detail close in, and as you get away you make it a simple model. But that's really difficult to do with pre-bought assets you get, and in fact for things like building an entire house or a table or things like that, you kind of you don't want to deal with LOD groups and just having all that in your scene. So you really want assets you can plop down and forget about and get good frames per second. So first off, I have no occlusion culling baked into this scene. If I did, like right now I'm looking at that inn right there, it's probably drawing everything inside there because that wall it doesn't know to not draw this stuff inside there, which there you see that going down, which that's unusual. But let's see here. But in general, you haven't needed to do this. There's some demo scenes that are very complex, and in those scenes I have had to put in occlusion culling. And if you're creating a big town, you want to bake that into your scene, but baking that into a scene is just nothing. And this actually does work. Like these walls are they block. Like you can see, my pointer cannot teleport past there where I can there. So this would, if you baked occlusion culling into this scene, you would get that blocked result where I'm standing out here. It would not be drawing things inside here. So first off, let's go with the scale. This is at my waist right now, so you can kind of see the scale of this fence is pretty spot on, and the way it is, the detail is really, really nice. If I go into the house, this doorway might be a little big, but then again, it works fine. It doesn't really hit my level of disbelief. When I go inside, the table, there's my waist, that feels spot on right. Let's go check out a chair over here. Again, here's my waist. Whoops. My waist, that's spot on for a chair, and there's a little table. Almost feel like I can reach down and set something on there. Take a look at the fireplace over here. Nice little glow effect. Even hits the controller. That looks really, really nice. This bed feels a little low for a bed. Whoops. Feels a little low for a bed. But then again, I don't know what a medieval bed is height-wise. I mean, like my modern bed would probably be about to here. That's to here. It's not something that hits my brain with this level of disbelief. These all look spot on perfect scale-wise, that's something you usually don't get with VR. He's done a very good work with getting the scale of all these assets correct. The house is probably, the ceiling looks a little up there. You probably can't see it, but again, nothing that hits my brain with a level of disbelief. Here's a dresser. Here's my waist again. And that's about right for a dresser. Although again, it's a medieval asset, so I have no idea. It all looks really, really nice. Another really cool thing, if I go outside and go around, I can look inside. And that's really cool. And that looks like a window I'm looking through. These little cross beams look flat to me, but again, there's only so much you can do with the texture. These textures were not designed for me to look at 2 inches or, 1 inch away from it. Even so, I mean, this looks flat. You don't see these bumps, but again, there's nothing you can really do for that, and still have objects you can put down and have really good performance. If I really want to nitpick, there's small little cracks, but again, this asset was not designed to do this, and you don't notice it. You really don't. Like here standing, I don't see it at all. It's really nice. A little bit of glow through from the fireplace. Nothing you really notice. From here, that actually does look like stone. I would say, well, not stone, but that whatever that material. When you get to this level, it doesn't. That's not uncommon. Again, wood. From this level, it looks like a beam. It looks like the texture, and when you get up close to it, you can see it almost feels like there's still some texture here, this close in. Alright, let's go back and take a nice look. This house tried to fall off the world there. Looks nice. Looks just really nice. Looks like a house. Maybe it's a little big, like that door's big. I mean, it's a big door, but again, it's not something that sets off your brain's disbelief thing. It feels like it's really there. And it feels like if you're in a town walking by that would feel about right. Here's an in. Let's go on the outside. These are from the website 3DForge has blueprints. If you own the assets, I own both the exterior, village exterior and village interior. And because I own both, this is a blueprint. It's prefab, came like this. I didn't add anything to it, like that smoke, that emitter, which might be hitting my frames a bit. That's one thing I've noticed with some of his interior. He puts a lot of lights in, and those lights can hit my frames if I don't have culling on. Okay. Let's head inside the inn. Looks nice. It's pretty. The presents you get from this is just really nice. These mugs, if you put a rigid texture on those mugs, when you start it up, they bounce right back on that. They bounce down on that table, and I know that because I've done that in some of his demo scenes. I've actually put rigid textures. I've added a script that handles the hits, and I've got a sword out there on my table, and I just sit there and I can hit that stuff around all day. In fact, if you put the right script on there, I can reach over and I can just pick this up, and it works really well for picking it up. I just didn't add anything to this scene. That functionality, I didn't put that in there because I didn't want to do anything but the stock and show that. Let's look up. It's close. You can say it's flat, but again, you move away from it, it starts getting some depth. Like here, that looks. Your brain kind of shuts it off. I mean, you can kind of still see it's flat, but you do get a bit of a depth to it. Like the wall over there, I get depth. It looks like stones. There, it still looks a little bit flat. Again, here's my waist. These bar stools, they come up to my waist. Right, that's the right, which is the right height. Here's the bench for the bar. That's my waist. Take a look back here. That looks really nice. What's in here? I didn't look in here before. That's cool. Little cubby area. Nice barrels. I think that's those lights, all those lights, which is hitting my FPS. It's not the assets themselves though. And those little brief yellows, like that, I wouldn't want to see that there all the time. If I was designing this scene, I would do something. There's probably a bunch of lights right there killing it. So I'd have to do something about that. But actually, now that I think about it, the other house is right over there, so it's drawing this, it's drawing the other house and drawing what's inside of it. I bet you it's doing that. And that will, if I baked in culling, I wouldn't have that issue. It's cool. Cloth. That cloth looks really good. Look at the cloth over here. Looks nice. What's cool is he's got a bunch of blueprints for prefabs. A lot of these houses like this are prefabs, so they come empty. So we can just plop them down and start throwing things in. It's not a lot of work. You can really put a lot of stuff together quickly. That looks nice. Let's head outside. Let's take a gander in a window. Yeah, there's a bunch of that chandelier right there. That's hitting my FPS quite a bit, maybe. I don't know. Again, that's a lot of lights. There may be more efficient lights you can use. Again, that's nothing. That's not the fault of the actual model assets. That's just going to be those lights. And that's kind of one of the problems with VR development. You've got to really worry about it being optimized. But these assets themselves are really, really, really nice for that. Anyway, that's it. Just wanted to show those off. Go on the outside. You can take a look at this real quick. Looks nice. Performance is good. And yep, that's pretty much about it. Hope this was useful.